All right, Glitton things. We're back. Two of my favorite people with us. Super awesome. This is like your 80th time on the show, girl. Thank you so much. We love you.
Always love having you.
The great Mercedes Chandler, thirst trap of Instagram. That's what they want to call you nowadays. We love you too. Welcome
Oh,
back.
no.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
As you take is ready to go.
It's not tea, I swear.
Hey Kenneth, what's up, bro? So yeah, it's been a funny couple. Like I haven't caught up with you guys in about a month, I think, for both of you. And I've been seeing a couple. I think we've all taken a couple L's. I took the podcast that you and I did, Mercedes. We took a bunch of L's on that one. And then I saw you, super awesome. You took some L's, and not even like losses, like for anything you made, but losses for what? Going to talk in front of what were they messing with?
Oh, well, I mean, they're always messing with us about something, but I recently spoke at a school board member or a school board meeting in Ohio, and like 2 weeks later, I went back out to Ohio and testified on behalf of a bill there at Congress at the Capitol. So they were actually out there protesting. These drag queens talk about like, we don't need you. Like, I can't remember the chant. I'm sure if you looked it up, it's all like your children will support us or accept us. And so
They always
they
lead
were.
with the kids, man. They never. They
It's very weird.
always.
I'm pretty sure that we probably have it up on the main page as well, so where you could kind of go back and look at that.
I can pull that. Don't worry. I have them all pulled up, ready to go for future reference.
Well, real quick, whenever you go to an event where you're going to speak, whether it's a school board, whether it's Congress, whatever, and they have these protests or whatever, does anybody actually walk up and want to have a conversation with you? Or is it always just shouting and you have to like maneuver yourself inside so that you can get to where you're going? Does anybody actually want to talk?
Well, I think we went the back way in because like we didn't see anything. We just went up to the room where they were taking the committee and spoke. But I mean, no one actually comes up to you. I mean, that's just kind of like inappropriate at that point where, at where you are. I mean, I guess. I don't know. Now outside, I guess if I would have hung out with them and had a conversation, I'm sure they wouldn't have liked me very much. You have that. I mean, I guess it just depends on the situation because we went and protest out in out in front of the Capitol in Orlando, or their city hall. Sorry, and they were very vulgar. It was in the middle of like a trans rally for kids, which is weird. So,
And you, Mercedes, Mercedes, if you have any questions for Super Awesome that you want to throw out there, go for it. Cause I know you guys kind of have had the same experiences, but you got heat and they went all the way back through your Instagram. Just, they were ready to have at you as if like you didn't have a life before you started doing this. You know what I mean?
It's wild because I'll tell you. So, like, for one, to answer your question about like heading to these events and then these people like wanting to talk to you, my whole policy is like love. I'm like a freaking hippie man, but like old school hippie. You know what I mean? So I'm all for love and having these open conversations. And every time someone comes up to me, starts cussing at me, I'm like, I just look at them and I'm like this. Why are you saying those things? It kind of hurts, and I would like that. It doesn't actually hurt, but I would like to have an open conversation with you. And they're always like they can't like comprehend what I just said, and it's the funniest thing. But last time I was at a rally, I tried to, but my friend who's a detransitioner, her name's Soren, she like pulled me away. She pulled me away. She's like, "No, we don't talk to them." So I was like, "Oh, I guess."
Because the first thing that they commented on the podcast that we did last time was like, she doesn't talk from love. She doesn't speak from love ever, whatever, just ignore her. And that was like the whole comment. It wasn't anything to do with kind of trying to discredit you or say like, hey, this isn't where I'm coming from when I see this point. It was just like, she doesn't come from love. And don't listen to her. And this is just a homophobic rhetoric. And it was,
And what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
One of the ones was, what are you gonna do? What are you people?
Oh, that was good. Yeah.
Jokingly at the end, when you were like, have you guys always believed this? And we're both like, no. And you got so excited. You're like, whoa, I have so many questions. Like,
I've never met you people before.
Or whatever. And we laughed about it. So one of the comments was, I wonder what you people will have to talk about after this all settles down and whatever.
After the drag stuff settles down. What are you guys gonna have to talk about after the drag stuff settles down? Or
hate on or whatever. But there was one comment. It's a really long comment. So if you ever get the chance, Mercedes, to go back to our first one. I sent it to her. Oh yeah. It was a really long explanation of how they felt. And it's like, okay, cool. If that's how you feel, that's great. I can read that and try to understand where you're coming from, because you're not screaming at me and calling me names. Like, no, nobody's calling anybody names. So very cool.
That was fun. I enjoyed that. I'm seeing a little.
I get like hate for like, okay, so back in the day, like I swallowed fire. Like if you go down on my Instagram, you'll see like me like just spitting fire out of my mouth and like these huge fireballs in my hands. And like the funniest thing is I have experience in the drag world because I was a drag king from like 18, 19, 20, 21. I'm 26 now, so it's a long history. Not that long. I'm not that old, but you know what I mean? Like I have experience in the drag world. So when people say, so I've performed on like lots of different stages, and I will be the first one to say that no, even in the family friendly environments, they're not doing it family friendly. I've been in experiences where drag queens have gone to go read during drag story hour. Like they're in the car railing substances before walking into the library. And I'm like, nah, y'all crazy. This crosses the line.
Okay, well, this is why I'm going to show you both this, and you can tell me what y'all think of this. I love your react videos. And this is why I feel like you don't do drag at children's libraries, or bring your kids to children's bring your kids to the Pride Parade or whatnot. This is why I feel like this, because this is what happens when you do this.
I'm gonna say what everyone else is thinking. JoJo Siwa seems to be going through some kind of public breakdown right now, and I am genuinely worried about her. Here you can see her chugging an entire handle of vodka at one of her recent concerts, and proceeding to touch herself under her clothes while a 6-year-old was at the front of the audience.
Now, remember, this girl was on Dancing. What is it? Dance Moms.
Dance Moms.
As a little girl, like as a little kid, and she was like exposed to the gay world out the gate, and so now she's 21 or 22, and she is just imploding. And we're all watching her implode. And as much as I like to mess with her about she's the first person to like invent gay pop, this is not okay.
And before you say it was the parents' fault, she knew what she was doing. She said to the crowd, "I've performed in front of 6-year-olds louder than you," and then pointed to a child being held on someone's shoulders near the front of the stage. In fact, there is a 6-year-old right here. Why the F are you here? I love it. I'm so here for it. You're awesome, dude. JoJo, listen, I know you're trying to double down on your bad girl era right now, but can you please not involve children in whatever the F this is?
So this is what happens when you when you bring your kids to Pride shows, and you let drag queens.
I have a unique experience on this because, like, I will tell you, everyone, one of the biggest arguments that come from the left is no. There is family-friendly shows. And what I will tell you is there just isn't, because the performers, 90% of all these drag performers, I'd say 99%, they all start in gay clubs, and they all start in these entertainment industries in which they've learned that all of their performances, the way they know how to dance is literally sexualized. It is. So when they go into family-friendly events, they bring over the same dance moves that they have learned through their drag careers. So it's like with JoJo Siwa, she she should know better if she know like if children are going to be there for one, but two, this is why legislation blocking kids from going to these events matter, because there just is no such thing as like these family friendly shows oftentimes get compromised because the performers, the entertainers literally just don't know how to do anything other than like overtly sexualized content, because the gay community has made themselves out to be that for the past who knows how many years now. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just part of the culture. So just take the kids out of it and we'd be safe.
They always want to lead with the kids. All right. Super awesome. Fill me in. What's this? I've missed a lot. I've missed a whole lot. What in the world? Why are street signs now gay? I need to know why, or they're homophobic. Why are street signs homophobic?
Running for office and being like, what should I do first? Let's get all U-turns signs taken down because it's homophobic. What the?
I love your laugh.
Instead.
Why are street signs homophobic
Well,
now? Anybody want to?
This is what they're saying, quote unquote. It's because they would drive up and down the drag looking for gay men. Another one is
I get the cruising one, but U-turns, cruising, fine. That was an actual term. You were cruising, guys. But
here's the thing: you're like, okay, you don't think that happens with women? So you think they were only making U-turns and cruising for just men? Just men? No. I mean, if that was even a thing, it would have been for prostitution. And at that point, why are you trying to bring prostitution and the LGBT community together? And why would I be offended by that?
Prostitution.
Like, first of all, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a traffic sign. I mean, like literally, you can go to California and get a sex change, get hormones, get all of these things without the consent of a parent as a child. Like, I think that you should worry about that type of legislation before, like, you know, worrying about a street sign that literally no one is offended by. Like, you just wanted to put that out there. That's it. Like, there was no reason for it.
Yo, and that trans dude was really happy about the fact that,
like, he had done something. Like, oh,
he was
God,
so
look at
excited.
me. I'm like, look at you. You look like a fool. That's what you look like.
It's distraction, right?
Yep. Hey, look over here.
Yeah, it's just to distract from the bigger conversations that should be being had.
I agree.
Removing a sign.
Ooh, wow, that's super cool.
But everything now is transphobic.
Real heroes.
Everything is transphobic. If a street sign is transphobic and math is transphobic, then what do we got left?
If me not wanting to date a male who identifies as a female and has a dick, and me saying, no, I don't want to date you because I'm a lesbian is transphobic, everything is transphobic.
There's not one thing. That's that, and I tell them all the time, that's a long way around being straight. No, thank you.
To me, that just takes away choice. Colleen and I were talking about the other day. They just continue to keep taking away our choices. So you can't even have a preference of who you want to date anymore. What if I just like to date white girls?
Racist.
That's racist.
I'm racist because I just
super racist.
Because Gary Owens likes to date black girls. He's like, I don't know. That's what my dick said. It said, hey, like when I see black girls, it stands up, and when I don't, it doesn't.
Well, that's a preference, and a preference should be unique to each individual. However, in order for this to work the way we want it to work, we're going to have to force you to do what we want you to do, even if you don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's like another way of just trying to pull the victim card. Like,
that's it.
Reverse. Imagine like looking, you have like laser beam vision, and you're just victim. Oh, there, victim. Oh, there. Anything that they can make out themselves to be a victim, like to feel oppressed. You don't want to date me. Oh, that's transphobic. I know you're like a lesbian and stuff, and I got like a thing going on here, but I want to be a victim today. So that's...
Why do you see genitals when you look at me?
Oh yeah, they see
me
it all
as
the
a
time,
person.
and I'm like, because
they're there.
Why do I see?
It's not.
And they think they'll say that too. They'll like gaslight you and be like, "That's gross. You you like are identifying me as my genitalia. Like, what is your obsession with genitalia? Like, they'll totally gaslight you on it. It's too much.
Why is it okay not to like it though? Like, why is it okay for me to? Why is it
Because
not?
nobody would, no one would actually like it.
Like, there's a reason I don't like a certain genitalia because I'm gay and I don't like that genitalia.
Well, I don't have a mental illness either.
That wasn't a problem before. We weren't having this problem before. Like, hey, you can like whatever genitalia you like and you can get married to it. And
that was the point of
That's what I was gonna say.
Right?
Like, that was like kind of the whole point.
That was the point of the sorry for being so
no, go for it. I don't like dick. Like that
but,
was
like,
the
that
whole
was
thing.
the point of finding community and finding safe spaces and all of that type of stuff so that we could just love
That's
who we
gone.
love.
That's
But
gone.
Yeah, but it's still trying to like throw the argument, but
the
they're
exact
all-
opposite.
Dude,
right.
lesbians have to like dudes now. We have to like dudes dressed up like women because
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I'm gonna choose a dick, it's gonna be a man. Okay? It's gonna be a man, not a man in a dress. I can tell you that right now. You better be all man. Like, I'm like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, woo. It better be like that. It's definitely not gonna be, you know, Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner. It's not gonna be that for me. I can tell you
It's
that.
not gonna be Disney dingle balls and Marcy.
Dingleberries? No, not that fucking.
Kenneth DeLapp, 5-star lesbian. Yes, sir. Yes, I am. Nope. The only balls I've ever had to touch were my son's, and that was when he was like in diapers. That was it. And I don't touch them anymore. He's fine. He knows how to do it. It's good. But oh no, the dude from that went to Disney World and started talking about
Cake
cake
pops and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, who even uses that language? Do men actually use that language? That's not. I've never heard any man call his penis a cake.
He is a man.
Marshmallow wand?
He is a man.
Marshmallow wand, right? Marshmallow wand. My bad.
That's why he's calling it that. Like he's a whole man.
He's only doing it for money though, and that's what's like wild is people are normalizing.
He cut off
this
his
in the name
balls. He said.
Yeah,
Did he do it
but that's what
already?
I'm saying. Like, I feel like these people hit some kind of like midlife crisis, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna make a bunch of money on TikTok. I'm gonna like because he's purposely saying stuff that he knows is gonna give him attention. It is like JoJo Siwa does the same thing. Like, purposely, no or bad publicity is, you know, better than no publicity at all. And they know this. And I mean, if you go to the person's page, they don't have that many followers. I mean, like, I think I have more followers on TikTok than this person does. But every video has millions of views because everyone wants to see what the heck is this person putting on the internet? Like, what the hell is this? And they know that. So they I don't know. At some point, you just know that they're doing it for every single reason except the 1% fact that they might actually be trans.
Yeah, me
but
too.
they're probably not.
No, they're not at all. I would bet like my whole life.
I bet $100 that he wasn't going to do it. Do you think he did it? Do you think he actually had the surgeries?
I mean, if he did, I mean, I think that's great for him. He's a grown man. Do whatever you want. But I think that the way he uses his lingo and his verbiage, he's trying to direct it towards children to be more relatable, and so that they will be convinced that that's an actual thing that we should do when we have gender dysphoria, rather than actually work on the real problem, which is internal. It'll never fix anything. Like, I can't fix the outward without fixing the inward first for it to actually mean anything. Mm-hmm. And so, like, they do that for indoctrination purposes. Like, that's what it looks like. That's what grooming looks like. You know, if you want somebody to do something, you have to become relatable to them. They have to trust you. You have to feel comfortable. Like, you know what I mean? And that's the way he does it. It's just like with Jeffrey Marsh, you know, that guy, that weirdo. You know what I mean? Like, he tries to let, he panders to obviously a younger crowd, but also educates them on how to what is it? Emancipate themselves essentially from their parents. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I mean? This is how it looks to groom a child, essentially.
So here,
and that's why, like, keeping kids off of TikTok, like, keep them off all that social media shit. You know what I mean?
Screenplay period.
Like that's
Why
it.
the
Like, keep
I
it.
will
Yep.
I will not, sorry. I get so excited because
No, go. Yeah.
Go, yeah.
these kids, the parents, this is what they do. I really don't want to pay attention to you, so here's my phone. Okay. I really not paying attention to what you're watching, who you're watching, what's influencing you. As long as you'll shut up and leave me alone, you can have screen time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that is the most dangerous place. It is the phone. And at that point, they're in their house experiencing the most dangerous situation possible, and it was given and set it up by the parents themselves.
Yep.
And they don't even realize it. And I'm not saying like, oh, to shame anybody, but like, think about it. Like, why is it that kids are at restaurants on the phone at family time? That's their opportunity to learn how to have conversation, how to interact with other human beings, and build up their vocabulary, their social skills. All of those things are essential for children. You only have a few years, and if you don't do it during those few years, you're gonna have a weird ass kid. There's some weird ass kids out there that are just socially awkward. My nephew, he's cool as hell. He can have a conversation with anyone. He's just me. You know what I mean? Like, we're just alike. And so, you know what I mean? Like, but I literally have not done any of those things with him when he's with me. What he does with, with my sister or whatever, that's neither here nor there. But like, when he comes to my house, like, we're doing things together. That was the whole point of you coming over, was us to have time together to build our relationship. You know what I mean? Not for you to sit on the phone so that I can do TikTok videos or watch TV or do me. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't need me to do me. Like, he needs me to be his aunt.
Yeah, I agree. I take a really harsh stance on that. Like, a lot of people, I get so much flack for it because I don't believe, just based off of how I was raised and how, like, and I know that who I am today is a product of how I was raised. No, I don't believe children should have electronic devices of pretty much any sort, at least until the age 16. Like, I take a really harsh stance. People always hate on me for it, and I'm like, I don't know. I was raised literally playing outside, breaking horses. By the time I was 18, I could fix a tractor. I could fix your truck, your car, do complete engine swaps, break horses. I mean, like, grow food, garden. My social skills were great. Like, it was just, looking at the kids nowadays, I didn't have technology. There was no phones, there was no video games, there was not even like movies. If we were going to see a movie, it was at a drive-in. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't.
Oh yeah, you did grow up in the sticks. You didn't have access to anything. That's right. I remember that. Hey, you guys were both raised with a strong sense of religion, a strong sense of faith, Christianity, whatever you want to, however you want to call it, or however anybody wants to call it. I'm curious because so did I. I grew up with that as well, and growing up trying to figure out, like, going through whatever you went through, figuring out your sexuality, coming into your own, and having Christian teachings. And especially, I mean, I guess for me and you, Jana, because that was like the 90s. It was a little bit more crazy. How was that for you guys? How did you navigate, like, believing in your faith and being connected to your faith, and also having a bunch of people with faith telling you that who you are is a sin, and being a lesbian is a sin, or liking women is a sin? How did you navigate that? Go ahead.
I studied the Bible for like 12 years. I left school thinking that, like, the earth was 8,000 years old, because I was raised in there's like 13 children in the school. That was K through 12. And yeah, so, like, I study the Bible from a very unbiased, or I guess you could say biased in the other realm. So, like, you're gay, you're going to hell, blah, 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 like, all that stuff. My mind just never comprehended the Bible in a way that other people's did. So I don't know if, like, their comprehension is just not working, but when I would read the Bible, I was taught historical context. I was taught the history of the ancient cities. I was taught about like the culture of the people at the time, all these different things that have to do with not just words on paper. You know what I mean? And because of that, I would read these stories in the Bible, and the 6 verses that mention homosexuality, none of them talk about a God-fearing, monogamous, same-sex loving relationship. So I never thought it was a sin. I was just like, okay, so like rape, assault, pedestary, I don't know, like idyllic worship, and we're having like orgies, that's a sin. Like all these verses that I look at, Sodom and Gomorrah, how could you get anything other than gang rape? Like I'm not really understanding where people's comprehension went wrong there. So it never bothered me. I was just like, nah. Now the people bothered me for a long time, and I, as a result, like turned away from God for a minute. And I fixed it in my head. I was like, okay, God and these people are not, it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? These people aren't necessarily a reflection of Christ. And even Jesus talks about like the Pharisees. And I just view all these people, these Christian people who are like, okay, so like Tyson James, the rapper, that's just a modern day Pharisee. They're not Christians.
Yeah. Do you want to weigh in, or here? Got Olivia. Hey, what's up, girl? I'm here to help my daughter. I sent her to Catholic school and now she is trans. She loved her Catholic school, but now I am dealing with her being trans. There's a lot to unpack there. I mean, I personally would probably say it wasn't your Catholic school, or it wasn't the Catholic school. I'd probably say it was kind of the access to outside media, but also, that's what I would say. She might have just rebelled from the rigidness of a Catholic school, and I don't know the whole story, but yeah, the one thing I have to say is you have to take time for yourself too. You know, like if she is trans and she does want to be a boy, I don't know. Like you guys, this is what you guys do. She's here for you guys, so I always just say tomboys are fine, and you can just be a tomboy and just wait and sit with it. And if they still want it later, how old is she? Is she still in high school? Is she out of high school? How old is she? Give us some facts. We'll shoot you some facts back. So what I'm hearing you say, Mercedes, is just like if you still live like the life that God wanted you to, right? Like have a wife, love your wife, provide for your wife, you're monogamous, you treat her right, you love her, you take care of your kids if you have kids, whatever, then that's kind of what God was asking you to do. He's basically just asking you not to be a douchebag and run around and sleep with everything you want. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like have like, okay, so sex within the confines of marriage. I mean, the thing is, I can literally lay out.
Yeah,
Huh?
let her finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then we'll put it up. Yeah, go ahead.
I could literally speak right now what the beautiful, perfect marriage to God is, and what it is what 99% of people, including Christians, are not doing. The amount of Christians with their premarital sex, I mean, literally all of them are either engaging in premarital sex, using birth control or any kind of contraceptive, and then sitting there and turning all of their hate towards the gay community. And I'm like, guys, it sounds like y'all have some internal problems to fix first, because I don't see any of you guys really advocating against premarital sex. I don't see any of you guys actually advocating against like contraceptives. Maybe the Catholics, okay, you got them, maybe the apostolics, but that's it. Okay, and maybe the Amish. But the majority of Christians nowadays are not advocating for any, they're just like obsessed with homosexuality, and they're not obsessed with any of the other daily sins that they're participating in every day. And I just can't. Hypocrisy disgusts me.
Man, it's hard. That's why we pray for forgiveness and we ask for forgiveness, and because you're going to sin every day. You can't possibly be perfect.
I'm a filthy, shit-filled sinner. You know what I mean? We all are. And it's to have a conversation is from sinner to sinner, not high and mighty to a sinner. And that's why I'm like, nah.
I like that. Sinner to sinner.
Yeah,
I like that a lot. What's up, Super Awesome? You want to talk about it? I know you're
well, I mean, I love the way you put that out there for us. You know what I mean? Mercedes, I guess my struggle is a little bit different, I suppose. um, because of the fact that of the things that I experienced, but probably more so like the conviction of the Holy Spirit is the way you should guide sin. Because I'll tell you, when I was out there in the world and like, meaning like I was drinking and drugging and sleeping around, like, hey, I've never been in a healthy relationship. I've only been with married women. You know what I mean? Like, so I was not just going to hell because I was gay. I was going to hell because I was a liar. I was a cheater. I was a manipulator. I was a fornicator. Like, all the things. Those were the reasons why I was going to hell collectively.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, oh, you're gay.
We're
Automatic.
just gonna
You're
wrap
out of
all
here.
of that up under the homophobic or the homosexual umbrella. Yeah.
And you know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, if the Holy Spirit convicts you to singleness, then that's what you should do. You know what I
Yeah, and
mean? And
celibacy
if
is glorified over a relationship for all
and
people. Celibacy.
you know what I mean? Paul was called to it. You know what I mean? And he was a better, he had a better relationship with God. So that's what I do. I'm a little bit different. I do think it's a sin. However, you get to live your life just the way you want to. You know what I mean? And I think that's awesome. And I will never stop anybody from doing that. The Holy Spirit convicted me into singleness. So whatever you do with your life, that's your life. But I don't push my belief on anybody. And I don't know, I really don't know what's what until I, get up to heaven. You know what I mean? And account for what I've done right and what I've done wrong according to him, because we can go, oh, you're going to hell for this. Well, how do you know? Are you God? So God's going to go, oh, definitely. Jana said that Garrett is going to hell. You know what I mean?
Probably.
And she is all knowing and oh so great that now you're going to, no, you don't have that much power. The only thing that God wants me to do is to love God and help others. That is
It's
it.
so funny because
That is it.
He who cast the first, what is it? He who is without sin cast
the first stone.
Yo, there's a lot of MFs out here throwing some stones, and I'm kind of like,
But you know what? I'm called to love them.
Yeah, God.
That's the difference, though, that is really frustrating. So, like, what this conversation so Janet and I, right, we have a different point of view, but it isn't an argument. It isn't hate filled. Like, I can feel the love from her, and you can feel the love from me. Versus, like, that's how this conversation is supposed to go. Versus all these other people, they won't. A lot of Christians lead this conversation with just straight up. They're coming hate flying out the door, judgment flying out the door. And that's why Christianity is the fastest declining organized religion. And that's a statistic. It's just because they're marketing it. I mean, I'm just going to say it, their marketing is absolute shit. You know what I mean? Like, basic psychology says when you go up to someone and you say, hey, you're going to hell, no one is going to be like, oh, yeah, sign me up, man. I'm just going to sign up for whatever you're speaking about. We know that Jesus, he had his disciples. He built relationships with his disciples to be able to change them from sinners to his disciples, to really good, okay, some of them, reflections of God. But you know what I mean? Like, that takes time. That takes relationships. That doesn't take a sign out of a pride parade saying Jesus loves you or saying you're going to hell. That's not how you bring people to Jesus. And that's why, like, I believe in keeping churches really small. And if the church gets too big, divide and conquer in a way that you actually build relationships with your congregation and you go out and do things. It's like most people are going to church, but they're sitting in a pew, and that's all they do. They pay their way because maybe that's easy to pay their dues into the church. But it's just like, how many of you guys are actually going into the world and making a difference like God has called us to do? None. If you look at the life of Jesus, these people, what is it? They're not living a reflection of Jesus at all. It's too much. But they're the first ones to hop on and say things like, run away from your demonic lesbianism.
So they'll say the words, but they won't actually take the action.
They don't truly love. They don't truly love.
They're hypocrites.
Christ.
Yeah, I don't think they're disciples of Christ.
I think they, they like to think of themselves better than because they're not doing a certain sin. But in all reality, because of the fact that, we recognize, okay, we're sinful people. We can't just go around, making others feel bad for the same sin that we've actually encountered, but instead you bring them the hope while they watch you change. Because I don't need to tell you about Christ. You know that I have Christ. I don't have to talk about it. People are like, yeah, there's something different about that girl. You want to know why I know that? Is because I've watched this transformation of a broken alcoholic, overweight, hated my life, was just horrible to myself, to a redeemed, happy, joyous, and free individual that gets to go and help kids and gets to be part of a bigger purpose other than myself. Like, so I don't have to talk about it. Like, you know what I mean? It's a reflection.
For sure. Olivia, we're coming to you in a second. Kenneth, the lab. Sometimes it feels to me like church is social credit. Yeah. It's all about the appearance of being a Christian. Hard to find good churches. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I feel that way too. They just want to be able to say it, quote a few lines, make you feel bad about yourself, and then, they're holier than thou. Olivia, she's 20 now, came out when she was 18. It was so much as a mother, no clues. She had boyfriends in high school and was in love. She was all about her long hair beauty, then hit us like a ton of bricks that she's trans. My faith is strong.
Is she dating girls?
Oh yeah, good question.
Because this sounds like lesbianism, but now in modern days, this is what's happening.
I mean, but also you have to think of it too, is did anything happen?
That's what I was going to ask.
Because I mean,
that she didn't tell you.
That's a lot of that, because I didn't tell my parents that I was raped until I was 21 years old, and that happened in the 3rd grade. Yeah,
I'm not saying anything did happen.
No, but I just put it out there. It's like, you know what I mean?
Our own experiences. Yeah, usually something for that big of a change. There's a lot of times something has happened to her that maybe she just hasn't processed all the way yet and isn't ready to talk about yet. It also, I mean, maybe she always was gay and didn't want to say it. And now, in order to be able to make it right in her own mind, she has to see herself in a heterosexual relationship. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. She was okay.
Put it down.
That. Yeah. That.
So that has a lot, like, they say gender dysphoria has a lot to do with, how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
Not necessarily your gender. You hate what you see.
Yeah.
Is as a weakness, or
it
doesn't feel good.
Power back. You want to take your power back, right? I went through that a little bit, feeling like I wanted to be a boy just so that no boys would want me. I would be the more powerful one in the relationship. You know what I mean? Like, I would never, ever have to go through that again by being a boy or dressing like a boy or acting like a boy. I mean, I was always a tomboy, but there was a couple of years there where I went over the top, and that's what it stemmed from. I just wanted my own power back, and I couldn't find a way to do that as a girl for a second in my mind.
And also to try to get yourself as far away from that identity that you experienced that huge trauma in is also something that I don't think we talk about much either. Is that you try to get as far away from it as possible because you don't want to relive it, but you have to move through to get through. You have to move through what happened, understand what happened, and then you get to the other side. And I think that that's one of the things too, is that trying to just re-identify herself as not that trauma. This is probably something that she is looking to do to get as far away from that experience as she possibly can.
And I'm sorry I pulled that up. This chat, it moved. Like, I'm sorry, but yeah, I would agree with everything that she just said.
Have you, have you guys started talking to Olivia? Have you guys started like trying to talk to people? Maybe some counseling, maybe some
counseling
for everybody, for you, for her, for the family, just as a way of support to, kind of help her navigate what's going on?
Super. Did you go to counseling for it? My grandmother put me in counseling pretty much right after I told.
Well, I started like cutting, and eventually when my parents saw that I was doing that, they took me to therapy, but I was I was very good at pretending like everything was okay. And I mean, at that point, they were telling my parents that I was a very well-adjusted child.
Uh,
They didn't really see too much wrong with me. So there was opportunities that my parents were trying to give me to get honest and be open, and so that I could get over this. But my silence really ruined my life on some kind of level. Like at that time, I'm now going to be 41 years old this year, and I've just started like scratching the surface of who I feel like I should be. You know what I mean? Like here I am, like almost 41 years old, and I'm like, I really want to go to law school. And like in my head, I'm like, oh, you're too old, this or that. Like Jana. And then I'll get back into that guilt and that shame of, oh, had you just done and like let them know what was going on and worked on this when you were younger, you could be where you want to be, but you're not, like, so I have to fight that to, kind of forgive myself for allowing, that trauma to pretty much dictate my life for so many years. It's really hard. It's not as like people are like, oh, just go tell. Like it's
not
different
like
for
that.
everybody. Like it's different for everybody, man. I didn't feel like I could. My dad was a predator. He went to prison for 15 years for raping boys. Like, so there wasn't a good time in my life to, put that guard down. It just wasn't, that wasn't my experience.
And for the parents, it sucks. Like I know, as much as the bigger rift as I had with my mom, like I know that it killed her that she didn't know, that she didn't protect me. I know that it killed her that she picked my stepfather over me. You know what I mean? Like I know she went through a lot. I know it wasn't just me that was affected, which is why I didn't want to tell in the first place, because you tell and then it's not just you, that your whole family is affected by it. Like my grandfather was furious for years, wouldn't let me out of his sight at all ever after that. It was that I couldn't do anything. Like I was with him all the time. So parents need that help too. And if she's trans and you're going to have to go through that, then you're also going to go through, that pain of, whatever new name she picks or whatever new, you're kind of grieving in a sense the loss of a child as well. You know what I mean? Parents, you got to give yourself that grace too. So
Just don't pull up any more.
I'm not. Yeah.
The only thing I will say, and you started to say on that, is
Jana, can you read her comment though? Can you see the live comments?
I can read them.
So if you can read them and answer them like without talking about it after Colleen goes, that'd be cool. So we don't pull them up on the screen.
No, go ahead. She can talk to that about the.
Did you read the last one she just wrote?
I mean, do you not want me to read it out loud, or
no? Don't read it out loud. Just answer it so that it.
Well, I mean, yeah.
How did you end up stop cutting? Like, what got you to the point?
I didn't stop cutting until I was 30 years old. Because it was a faulty emotional dependency that I had. So whenever something would go wrong, like, or I didn't feel right or I didn't feel okay, like that was a way that I could gain that control back on some kind of level. And then, when that didn't work, then there was alcohol, and then there was drugs, and there was sleeping with married women. Like it had to get more and more exciting. Like everything had to be exciting. I was always like never knew what was going on. That was how it looked for me. And even in the in-between times, I might have like 2 or 3 years where I didn't cut, and then something really traumatic would happen, and it would be a downward spiral. And I mean, I was so awful to myself that, like, you know what I mean? Like they're pretty they're pretty intense scars that I have at this point, and it was just a way that I had to cope. And it's funny because I got sober 5 years ago, right? So I'm not drinking anymore. So when I'm getting stressed out or I'm like under any kind of pressure, or I'm happy, or you know what I mean, something good happening, whatever, I would choose alcohol for so long. Well, that became not a choice anymore. And then there were still cigarettes, and well, then I cut that out. And it was just like the other day I had to call my sponsor because I wanted to cut myself. And it had nothing, like, it wasn't like anything traumatic had happened. It was just that faulty emotional dependency that I had relied on for so many years to get me through whatever situation. Like, I had to write out a inventory and be like, okay, I got to remind myself that cutting's off the table as well. That's how, I mean, I have to treat myself with such like care sometimes and be like, hey, Jana, it's okay that you thought that, but we need to remind ourselves, that's not something that we can do today. And I mean, that's just being honest, like I still struggle.
I think it talks to a little bit too, Mercedes, about what you were saying when we were talking about religion and like being able to be kind to yourself and to show grace to other people. If you can't show grace to other people, it's very hard to show grace to yourself. If you can't show grace to yourself, it's very hard to show grace to other people. And I think it's like a bad cycle that we kind of get ourselves into. Like, you should be able to show grace to yourself when you mess up, as well as show grace to other people when they mess up. Because what was that one we loved? We're talking sinners to sinners.
Mhm.
And Kenneth had the right word, but you're not talking like, people who like these people on pedestals to sinners. You know what I mean? Like, we are all just sinners trying to talk to each other and make it through the world, right? So
Yeah, and I mean, like, if you do look at the statistics of like sexually assaulted people and the trans correlation that people talk about, at what point do you get to sit there and like, yeah, they're transitioning. Yes, there might be an obvious underlying cause, but we're demonizing these people for a reaction to trauma that should not have happened in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, someone else's sin has now caused, this person oftentimes to completely try to run from who they are. It's like a complete trying to kill the trauma. And you got to have grace. You can't approach these things nastily because the whole situation is messed up and you don't need to mess it up anymore. Love really helps.
yeah,
Coming at things with love and not just like the fake love, not just like the, oh, well, Jesus does love you, thanks, bye. But
yeah.
genuine conversations, raw, and actually getting real with people.
Which is why I think it's so hard for some people to listen to the two of you talk, and not just the two of you, but a bunch of people when they say mental illness. Like, because when you say mental illness, they just think that you're calling people crazy, and it's not crazy. Like, being sexually assaulted and having some sort of mental reaction to that in a way that you can't even describe to other people who haven't been through it, it 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 is. And I know you don't want to say it's a mental illness, but it is. It takes a lot of therapy, it takes a lot of grace, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of love, it takes a lot of understanding to get through that. And that's okay. It's not a bad thing to do that. Like, especially for women. And you guys can tell me what you think. I think it's very different for women when it comes to the transitioning process than it is for men. Like, I still don't understand why boys want to do it. Like, I think they're just taking our more feminine boys who would normally just be gay, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're gay, so you want to be a girl, go be a girl." But for girls, I think it's something completely different when they decide that they want to transition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that, especially. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, for me, it's hard because like people all the time they look at me and they're like, "You're gay because you've gone." Like, people literally tell me I'm gay because I've gotten sexually assaulted, and I'm like, I've never been sexually assaulted. So like, there's it's just
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that it's hard to navigate.
Kenneth, would you say it's a natural reaction to the trauma for women? Yeah, I would say that. I heard something on Joe Rogan the other day that I did want to ask you both, because I know we're running up on time here, but they said something about, how the conspiracy theory about Hollywood wanting to put dudes in dresses and, like trans all these boys and it was funny because he said, or it's not funny, but he said something like, "Hey, what's the thing that we're most afraid of? Strong masculine men. How do you make those men? How do you not be afraid of those men anymore? Put the Rock in a tutu." You know what I mean? Like that was, and I was like, and he's going down this whole rabbit hole of how do you make these strong masculine, like provide, protect dudes not scary anymore? How can I control them? How can I? Well, Hollywood's like, we'll put them in a dress. And I was like, oh shit.
Mhm.
For real, bro?
I think this issue is like a multifaceted problem because okay, so when we look at like the demasculization of men, there are men that come out the moon like ready to wrestle bears. They're ready to take on the like Australian crocs and stuff. They just come out the womb that way. But we also have, I mean, there's a lot of effeminate men being born. And we've traced it to multitudes of different things, like low sperm count issues, like the food we're eating, like we've traced a bunch of hormonal imbalances that come from a lot of the foods we eat affecting children, and we're having a huge population of men simply being born with a lot less testosterone than other men. Like the more people you put into the equation, because if you look at previous history, the strong survived. There was no reason, like a weak man would have died. They didn't exist simply because the genetic, like they didn't stay alive long enough to create. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And now we live in a world where weak men can thrive. There's no genetic like doxing at this point. Anything can create anything. So we're having a lot of effeminate men be born, and we're having there's still lots of masculine men being born. But at what point? Because I've seen, like, I had a nephew at 8 years old, and mind you, he was like raised like me. Or he's not my nephew, he's my cousin. He was raised like me, no technology. I knew by the time he was 8 years old, 9 years old, that he was going to grow up to be gay. Like, he was the most feminine. No one said it. No one told him that. Sure enough, he grew up to be gay. But like, you could tell that kid was raging with estrogen. The most feminine, girly kind of boy. They're just born like that. And like, at what point do you tell that thing, like, tell him to be masculine?
You can't. I just don't think you should.
Well, masculinity isn't going to make him straight.
Yeah, like just be gay and be a boy. That's fine. Kenneth, you are hysterical. Taint shrinkage leads to less masculinity. Sounds like a joke, but there are studies on it. Oh, okay. You're not joking. You're serious.
What is taint shrinkage?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to call in on that, bro. Is that the thing in between your dick and your balls? Is it actually your dick? Is it at the bottom of your dick? I'm not sure. I've listened to a lot of taint conversations on Sevon's show. I still don't know where it is, but yeah, I just wonder why they just want to take our gay boys and just make them girls, butt and balls. Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'll explain. What is it?
It's between your butt and your balls. It's that space between your butt and your balls for men. That's a taint.
Okay. Very good. That's very good.
No, the more you know.
The more you know.
We're getting anatomy lessons.
I needed that. I really needed to know that.
You feel like that you learned something very important today.
No, he's serious that shrinkage causes less like testosterone. There's
saying about
yeah.
He's like, it goes with what Mercedes is saying about food and what's making protein.
Yes. I mean, it's like I said, it's a multifaceted issue. There's like thousands of contributing factors. I mean, hundreds of thousands of contributing factors as to like the variety of men we see today. But interestingly enough, I have this theory that straight people, or like this, I'll call them heterosexual. We'll just call them heterosexual people. Okay, the straight like heterosexual people
Don't
have
worry, dude. You can say whatever you want on this show. It's fine.
they've contributed to the trans problem. Okay, because when you have an effeminate boy, you just know this kid is going to be gay. You're not indoctrinating him, but you just know like the estrogen's raging, right? And you got a dad who's like just freaking dogging on this guy on his kid, like, no, you can't explore any of that. You can't play with girls' toys. You can't do this. You can't do that. Like, you got to be a man. You got to be a man. You got to be a man. And he does not feel manly at all. He's going to start to hate everything that a man is. And he's going to think to himself, okay, so if I can't like pink as a boy, and I can't like girl things as a boy, and I can't like this as a boy, then I guess I can't be a boy. And then they go and be a girl, because, and that's what I'm saying. So like straight people contribute to this issue by not allowing people to experience, like, I'm a masculine female.
Anymore, though. I don't, yeah, I see where they were worried about that back in the 80s, 90s, even maybe early 2000s. I see where they were worried about that back then. And that's what's caused a big swing to be like, hey, if you don't affirm your kid's gender, then we can take your kids away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but is it, I don't know.
I mean, I watched it happen to like my, like, my cousin, I watched it happen to him. But like, if you go into some of these comment sections of parents who literally say like, ain't no way my son's doing that. If my son if you just go on social media, you can find buttloads of people who absolutely would crack down on their kid for wanting. Or there's a video now. I'm not saying I agree with this couple and how they're raising their family, but there's a kid on TikTok who like wears pink, and it's a whole thing of its own. But when you see all the people in the comments who are like, you're turning your kid gay, like your son needs to wear not that, he's not allowed to paint his nails, he's not allowed to do that, he's not allowed to do this.
I can see I'm just like detrimental as well.
I think it's equal, like to all the people that are like, no, you're a boy, you can't like pink, to, oh, you're a boy, you must be a girl. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's a flow of both, that those straight people are, influencing their children one way or to the next. So either A, like, hey, you're unacceptable. This behavior is not okay. I can never love you if you don't do, you know what I mean? Like, so now we're changing our gender so that our parents will love us. But then you have the other ones that are like, oh yeah, definitely. You like girls, or I mean, you like pink, so you must be a girl. Like, I think that it's a wave of both. It's not just
it's definitely a wave of, it's completely a wave of both. And again, it's a multifaceted problem. It's just we only talk about one, but we don't talk about the other. I don't hear anyone talking about like the straight people's causation, or like the part that they play in this. I only hear about like the extreme lefties, which like 100% disagree with. But I know me personally, my mother let me wear all the men's clothes. She never made me feel bad about being a masculine female. And that is the one reason why I am not trans, because I mean, I have like abnormal levels amount of testosterone. My twin is intersex, and I don't take any kind of hormones, nothing. And it's because I did not hate being a girl, because my mom did not make me hate being a girl. And I see it's always okay for girls. Tom girls, no one says that that's bad. No one says it's but every time for boys, it gets trashed on. Anytime boys want to be feminine, why is it okay for girls to be masculine but boys not to be feminine? That's where I say like hypocrisy gets me, because I see them biasly and I'm like, wait, I was allowed to, no one talk to me because of how I was dressing.
Nobody gives a crap about lesbian porn, but nobody wants to see gay men porn.
Yeah, it's the stigmatization.
But there's some of those I'm not mad at. I'm okay with it. I'm good. Olivia, I don't want to lose this. How would you exactly start the raw conversation with your child dealing with this? Her and I are close, but we don't talk about her trans. We just love one another. I would say, have you talked about the actual trauma together? That's, I feel like, where you would want to start. You don't just have to dive in, but have you had those like really hard trauma conversations yet?
Imagine if you were like talking about the trauma and discussing the trauma and completely not talking about the trans thing, and maybe getting even like family counseling for the trauma specifically. Because if she works through the trauma, as a result, she might come onto her own conclusion that she's running.
Yeah. That's what I would think. And I mean, not surface level conversations, like hard conversations. Like my grandmother and I had some really, really hard conversations into my teenage years. So I would say that.
I think so. I mean, she's going into counseling herself.
No, but I just mean the two of them.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they're both individually going to counseling themselves, and then maybe introduce like a family counseling too, where you guys go in together, and have the conversation or whatever. But what I wanted to say to Olivia is just mom to mom, like you're doing a great job.
Yeah, you are.
You're doing a great job, and taking the steps to do what you feel like is the best way that you can support your child, yourself, and how you can be there for her. Giving yourself some grace, understanding that it's okay to feel what you feel. This is something that, Garrett and I have talked about a lot too, is that when you hear about the stories about children transitioning, what I hear all the time is this idea that parents don't accept. And I think what it is mostly is that parents don't understand. They're surprised, they're shocked, and they're trying to process at the same time that they're watching their child go through something that they don't understand. And I think that the problem is that we are expected as parents to get it like that, to accept it like that, to change our thinking like that, to be okay with it like that. And I think it's unfair because we are supposed to be patient for them. And we're asking for the same thing, just to be patient. You're asking some parents to completely rewire their thought process and their beliefs right now, at this instant, the minute that these conversations start to happen. And we're not giving parents the opportunity to grieve the child that they no longer have. And I saw a clip from this somewhere, and I don't remember who it was, but when they said this parent said, I don't remember if it was a father or a mother, but when they said this, I was like, that's it. That right there is that we're not giving parents the opportunities to grieve the child that they lost, that they're losing, and they're watching losing their child in real time. Like it's happening right now when there's nothing that they can do, because if they don't do something that is right, that is exact, that follows these rules and these laws and all of this regulation that is being put on parents, if we don't follow it to the T, then it is a feared consequence that we might lose our children. And I think that that's where parents are coming from. I'm not saying that I'm going to judge a parent for parenting how they see fit. I am not a mother to do that. I would never do that because I don't want someone judging me on how I raise my son. But what's happening is that the more you tell us what we're supposed to do, the less you're giving us the time and space to actually be there to support our kids. And so what you're doing, Olivia, is you're being there the best that you can right now. So give yourself a little bit of grace, give yourself a little bit of understanding, and just, I've said this before. I was terrified to tell my father that I was gay, and he was the one that I was most nervous to tell, not because he's my father, but because he is a Vietnam vet. He's a Marine. He grew up very Republican, very red, very strict in those rules. And I was scared that he wasn't going to love me anymore because I was gay. But when I told my father that I was gay, he said, I don't understand, but I love you anyways. And that was the most powerful thing that any parent can say, because he didn't throw me out. He didn't cast me aside. He said, I don't understand, but I love you anyways. And then we were able to have conversations and we have a great relationship. And I think that if you can give parents the opportunity to say, I don't understand, let's do this together, I think more kids are in a safer place and parents can actually be there for their kids versus this fear that rules are going to take them away. So I just wanted to give a little shout out and a little kudos to you, girl, because from a mother's perspective, that is my biggest argument. And that is my biggest fear as a mother, is that my rights are going to be taken away from my son. And you're doing everything that you can right now. So I just wanted to give her a little shout out and have my little passionate mom moment for a second. So I'm done. I'm good.
That was beautiful.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Truly.
And if you ask me to repeat it, I could never repeat it. So I'll watch it back.
Clip that.
A good mom.
No, Olivia, if you
Appreciate you, girl.
reach out to us anytime, you can DM us any freaking time that you want. We're pretty accessible. Where is it? Bernie Gannon. Hey, dude. Just tuning in. I'm feeling very overmatched with the. We don't know where this conversation went. It went everywhere. We went every direction, like good lesbians do, up, down, backwards, all over the place. It was fine. Do you want to go out on a funny one? This one's a funny one. Y'all may or may not have seen this, but it's hysterical. You wanna end the show?
Yeah, let's end it.
Yes.
Fun, 'cause I got a little.
Yeah, I know.
I got a little.
No, I'm here for it. Listen, we all needed some counseling.
Listen, for a very long time, and I don't know if I've ever shared this with both of you guys or whatever, but for a very long time, I was not comfortable saying anything public about this whole situation. But for me, when it started to be feeling like it was attack on parents, on good parents that can be there, I get very passionate about this, where it's just like, just give us a fucking second. Just give us a second.
She found her voice
to process this and to do this with them. Just give us a goddamn second. So I get a little hot when this kind of comes up. So, but
I love the passion.
I'm good.
Good fire.
Yes.
All right,
I've seen this video.
Is this Raven?
Yes.
Let's give the fans what they came for. You ready? This is amazing. This is amazing.
Lesbian are you?
I say I'm like a chapstick lesbian.
Oh, you're chaps?
Yeah, that's what I just.
Sorry, she said she's a chapstick lesbian. I have never heard that. I've heard lipstick
She's a
lesbian.
chaps.
She's chapstick.
If I'm most with, because I like do my makeup, but I don't wear lipstick.
You're like
Yeah.
pretty.
But I'm like not, and then I'll wear like some girlier things.
Wait, so
but
am I a
not-
chapstick lesbian? Is that what
So
you're
I guess
saying?
you would be a chapstick
Is that what
lesbian.
happened?
Wait, everybody picked the lesbian that they are because they're gonna go through like 76 different types of lesbians. So I kept trying to figure out. Yeah, Kenneth, I didn't know there was chapstick.
I never heard of chapstick.
What are
but-
you? What are y'all? What do you consider yourselves?
I just consider myself butch, but they don't name that in this video, so I'm gonna try to pick one that I think I am out of this video.
I'm interchanging at any given time. I'm always flowing in and out of chapstickness and studness and butchiness. It just flows constantly in and out, in and out.
So I'm
In
gonna
and
guess-
out.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay.
Pause.
I don't know what I am, but apparently I'm Butch Ace Ventura. So
I would
that's why
Okay.
people are just
Okay.
commenting on my social media.
Oh,
That's
butch Ace Ventura.
hilarious.
I like it.
I don't even know why.
Okay.
Okay,
ready?
wait, what are
Let's
the other
pick-
options? Go ahead.
No, you got to see the other options. See what we're gonna find one for you, Mercedes. Let's go. And me. They don't have one for me either.
Really?
I feel like you're like a soft mask.
I'm a little bit of a soft mask, but
Right?
that's also because I still am Raven Simone, so I go back and forth.
True.
When you put hair on.
I mean,
Oh,
I'm
who-
a straight switch when I put.
What's a switch?
Meaning that she's super girly when she puts hair on.
That's what that means?
Maybe that's you.
Who?
Put some hair on you.
No, you ain't.
We gonna put some hair on you.
Nope. I just started my mohawk again. No, I would say so. Mercedes, soft mask. You want to go with a soft masculine? Is that what
I don't know
you-
if I want to go with that. I'm like a whole ass male here. I'm not sure.
Switch hitter? Switch hitter can do either.
Hair on.
Yeah. If you weren't Raven Simone, what brand of lesbian would you
I'd
be?
probably be a full-on stud. What kind of lesbian, bisexual are you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not femme.
You don't think?
She's not a
You would say
She's not femme. What is she?
So
She's
she's butch in the
Where?
way she acts.
He's trans masculine.
Yes, trans masculine would be the perfect way to describe her because I would date women like this, okay? So I would look like the boy and act like the girl, and they would look like the girl and act like the boy. Legitimate.
I'm sitting here with my mouth open like I'm about to take some dick. I can't listen to this. What is that? I don't understand what's happening right now. You're and don't do this to me. Super awesome. Please don't do this. So Mercedes is a whole ass stud then, huh?
I would think I was a butch.
Stud.
but,
I
you know,
don't. They
whatever.
don't use that word.
femme because of how I
I like
present.
it.
Yeah.
I live with her. She's not a femme.
No.
Right.
She's a masculine femme and not presentation, just mentality.
But like a femme top.
Bottom.
I was
Whoa.
like, do you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. This
in
is
and
why
out, in
I
and
hate-
out,
I hate-
in and out.
I hate the LGBT community.
told
just
you.
hate it. I just can't stand it. Bernie Gannon,
In and out.
In and Out burger right now.
want to keep saying it.
Why do people need to put themselves in the people that wanted us to not have to be in boxes now want to shove us all back into every box that there could possibly be. So
The
I'd be
box
saying
is
that.
for
That's
them.
truth.
The box
They
is
make
for
the
them, not
boxes.
us.
Yeah.
It's not for us. Well, we don't
Yeah.
care. It's for you to better understand me.
I do not care.
But again, too, and who is it? Pierce Morgan.
Yeah,
I can't
he's the
believe I'm
GOAT.
quoting Pierce Morgan
He's the
right
GOAT,
now.
the GOAT.
Is that he said something along the lines of like, how arrogant are you to assume that every single person needs to know exactly who you are and needs to understand like you from top to bottom? Like when did it become a thing where every single person needs to know every single thing about you, and it's not intimate anymore? Like the only person that needs to know who I am from the inside out, and I will say that, is my wife. Like nobody else needs to know that, but everybody else now needs every person to know exactly who they are. Why?
Approval.
Victim. It's to build the victim wall up. They're really securing themselves behind this wall. Like they can't Fort Knox their brain, so they're building an environment in which they can just like, you've harassed me, and this is my excuse to feel upset
To
today
act
and to continue not learning to manage my own emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that last part. Yeah. Yeah, I've never
100%.
thought I'd say this, but the conservative party is now the more fun party. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what happened, but they're the more fun party. Like,
And
don't censor my
like-
rap. Don't
like 20 years from now, it's going to be lit because the conservatives are going to be, because okay, I'd say like the conservative party from like 40 years ago probably wouldn't have been associated. You know what I mean? But like nowadays, like conservatives are going to be like freaking lit. We're going to be cool. We're just going to be the cool conservatives because this is what the movement's turning into. You know what I mean? It's turning into a wide variety of people. I love it.
I do too. I do too. I like I said before, I've had to apologize to a lot of my conservative friends for my dumbass shit, like in that 2020 to 2021 time frame. So if you guys actually are watching me right now, I love you guys. I'm still sorry. I'm still repenting over here.
Well, also a lot of people are coming out with a really big statement. A woman said this on a podcast, and I caught the reel of it where she's like, I do not have the time or energy to tiptoe around your triggers.
I saw that same one. I saw that.
Ooh, I mean, talk about like, and I've learned that through my own work. Like I was a fucking mess, and I had to do the shit. I had to do the work to be where I am right now, or whatever. And when you realize that it's all you, and it is not someone else's responsibility to fix what you're triggered by, like it's a you thing.
Yeah,
it
Mercedes.
really is a you thing.
Yeah, you're right, Kenneth. You're so right.
We
Hey,
should send you guys.
yeah,
some
we gotta
victim
send you.
binders.
We gotta send you these T-shirts. So like when we get out of here, just DM me like where I can send like your addresses, and I will definitely have these shirts. I'll buy them for you and send them to your freaking house because a friend of ours made them. And it's called the victim mindset, and it has like a line through the word victim. It's like a red line through the word victim.
I'm
It's
trying
a
to
fire
find it right
shirt.
now. Hold on.
I
But yeah,
love that.
it's a
find it
really
right now.
awesome
Hold
shirt.
on.
I have it too. It's really cool. I like to wear it in the deli. It's fun. I like everybody to see it.
Is it in Sevon's shit?
It's in Vindicate. Yeah, in Sevon's. Yep.
Yeah,
But,
I'm gonna because I live in Austin, Texas, and there's like a lot of gay clubs and a lot of like fruity scenes. I've thought about like there's a couple shirts. Oh, that's
that's
cool.
it.
That's really cool. There's a couple shirts that I want to
We should
get and
send it.
purposely wear
Huh?
into certain places, and I'm
Send
gonna
it.
film it. It's gonna be the up and coming content.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yo, if you film something in that shirt and like put it up online, oh, I will tag him in everything. I'll tag Vindicate and Sevon and the podcast and like everybody and everything. I'll send it to you. I'll buy you guys one. Just send me your
Address.
actual physical email or your actual address, and I'll send you guys stuff. Bernie Gannon, last one. Then we're out of here because I always know Super Awesome's got to make dinner or something. Conservatives believe it. Conservatives believe if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Liberal used to be broken. Things can be better. Modern progressives believe break it all. Yeah, They really are trying to break it all. And it's so funny. If you got Jillian Michaels trying to move out of freaking California.
Did you see that? Did you see the Jillian Michaels?
What happened?
She was like,
going off.
She
Going
went
off.
And she pretty much said, I can be checked on every single one of your woke boxes.
She's got all the
you
DEI
have.
boxes
And
checked.
she's like, if I am leaving home with all these check marks that I qualified for in your woke agenda, if I'm leaving home,
it's pretty far left.
A little fucked up right now. Like it might be a little bit too far. She went off. Girl,
it was good.
Please do. That's
really,
good. That's
good.
really good for the Republican Party, the conservative movement.
Like, whoa.
You got Jillian Michaels going Team Trump out here. What's happening in these streets right now?
Yeah,
well,
when
people
you get,
are actually
when you get
thinking.
Yeah, if you get the grand poobah or one of the many grand poobahs of the, the heavy leftists, and they're just like, I'm just gonna move away because this shit's too crazy.
For real,
it's a good start.
Hey. All right, guys, thank you so much. Don't hop totally off after this, but let me just say,
I sent them to you guys.
Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, Bernie. Thank you, Olivia.
Yeah,
Jethro hopped on. Yeah, DM us anytime. Jethro, I know, was in here. Jody's always in here. Thank you. Love you guys. Appreciate y'all. Omar Cornejo. Love you, dude. Yo, what's up? And
no, Kenneth, it's not wrong as a straight man.
No, it's not. Serious question. I've always found Jillian Michaels attractive. Is that no?
That's not wrong.
Have a great time. Don't forget, we got Taylor coming in to
Taylor's coming in hot.
He's coming in to fuck up some liberals on Monday. That should be a fire show. I got a lot of dude questions for him. It should be fun. Andrew Tate, all that shit. So we'll get into that on Monday. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. We'll see you later.
You ending the stream? You got
yeah, I got it.